Imagine this scenario in your head. You're driving, going to work, going to school, commuting, and you have the radio on. And there's a song on the background, just to kind of fill the monotony of the drive. It's probably a song you've heard a million times before. Rolling in the Deep, Don't Stop Believing, Let It Be. But if you really think for a second, how does it really sound? How does that music sound? Which may sound kind of odd to think about, it's just music. Sounds, I don't know, it sounds good. But if you really think about what's happening underneath just those catchy melodies, you may notice something that you really didn't before. So let me stop for a second and help guide your ear to what I'm talking about. The vast majority of Western music are built upon chords, and not chords like you'd find completely messed up behind your entertainment system, but musical chords that have an H in them, and the H stands for harmony. Not really, but that does sound really cool. But yeah, these are chords with an H, and they make up almost all of Western music. But what are these chords? And why do we use them? And why are they so important for harmony? And what is harmony? To understand chords, we first need to look at one of the most fundamental levels of music. So let's start with a note. A note is a singular pitch by itself. An example is if you walk up to a piano or keyboard and you play a single random key, you've just played one note. In Western music, we like to organize many different notes into what is called a scale, and most scales contain 7 unique notes. If we go back to this piano, we can look at all these white keys here and see that there's already a scale laid out for us. This note right here is called C. And if we go up to the next one, it's D, E, F, G, and surprisingly not H, but it goes back to A, B, and then we're at C again. So there's 7 unique notes and then one repeating one with C. If you notice, the C and the D have a black key in between them, and it's the same for D and E, but not E and F. And then you can see that for the rest of the keyboard as well. If you count the spaces in between, we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. These spaces can also be called steps, and with 2 steps being called a whole step, so another whole step, and then 1 step being called a half step. This formula on the white keys here is actually what we call a major scale. It starts with 1, and then it goes whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. A major scale is a foundation to a ginormous amount of Western music. We can apply the scale to any note and then make a major scale starting on that note. We can do D major, E major, and we can do whatever note that we choose. Let's stop for a second and think about what we can do with these notes. Fundamentally, there's really 2 things. Either play notes one after another, or you can play notes at the exact same time. So if we look at our friend C right here, and you just play him, he's calm and stable, feels like a point of rest, not really wanting to go anywhere. Let's play C, but also D at the same time. It's okay. How about C and E? That sounds really nice. If we look at the C major scale, we can organize these 7 unique notes, what we have right here, with different scale degrees, with C being 1, D2, E3, and so on until you get back to C, which will be 1 again. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Some of these notes when played together sound better than when played with different ones. Like what just happened with C and D, and then C and E. This sounds generally more restful than C to D is actually a second, and C to E is a third, which would also make C to F a fourth, and so on, a fifth. And we can keep doing that until we reach C again, which would be an octave. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th octave. These intervals are the building blocks of chords, and with these, we can finally get back to where we all started with this video. All chords are built upon these different scale degrees and their intervallic relationships between them. In Western music, the most basic structure of a chord is built upon thirds. So if we start on scale degree 1, which is C, and then we go up to scale degree 3, which is E, we get our third, our first one. And then if we go from E, scale degree 3, to scale degree 5, G, we get another third. And then when you play all of these together, we finally get a true chord. That was a C major chord. For all the chords we will look at in this video, they will all be triads, which simply means a 3-note chord, and they will all be diatonic, which means that they will only exclusively use notes that are from the given key. So for instance, we're going to play all the diatonic chords of C major scale, so they will all include the 7 different notes of the C major scale. Every key has 7 diatonic chords. For C major, there is C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and then we get back to C major. We label these chords with Roman numerals and then either lowercase them or capitalize them to show the quality. Quality just means major, minor, diminished, just like how I said with the chords earlier. The Roman numeral reflects which scale degree is the root of the chord. So, like we said earlier, C is scale degree 1 in C major, which if we built a chord upon thirds on the C, it would be built upon scale degree 1, which would make it a 1 chord. And it's a major chord, so it'd be 1 chord capitalized. Major and minor are by far the most common and the main ones you will really see, but you also do want to keep diminished in mind because it is diatonic to the major scale. For any major scale, the chords that are major are the 1, the 4, and the 5. The chords that are minor are 2, 3, and 6. The most commonly used chords out of these 7 diatonic chords in the major scale are the 1, the 4, the 5, and the 6. Now if I play them in this order, it's actually the exact key and chords of the chorus of Let It Be by the Beatles.
Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be.
Many songs use these 4 chords, and many more use the diatonic chords of the major key. With just these 7 chords, you could play a lot of the songs that you most likely know and love, or at least a large majority of them. These are the very fundamental steps of Western music theory, and even just knowing the basics can allow for almost limitless possibilities of musicianship, whether it be performing or even just day-to-day listening. So thank you for watching, and I hope you were able to take something educational away from this video.